Good morning, everyone. This is our weekly podcast. So I just want to say before we get started, and we should have a guest joining us momentarily. Before we get started, this is not the summit. I know the summit is going on at the same time right now. So I want to avoid any confusion. This is just our weekly podcast. We hope to do the weekly podcast every single week at the same time, regardless of other events that are happening, because that continuity is really nice. But I do hope that you're watching the summit because it is phenomenal. You can always, this podcast is available for free all the time. So if you're listening to the summit and don't want to miss that interview, go on over there and listen to it. You can always replay the weekly podcast. So just keep that in mind. You can always replay this. It's always available. It's always free. And this is not the summit. So we are waiting for our incredible guest who is joining us today, a member of our community, Brenda. And while we wait for Brenda to get in here, good morning and happy Friday. I'm happy to answer some decluttering questions while we hang out and wait for Brenda. So, what is going on with everyone today? Let me know in the comments where you're joining us from. What's happening? Are you planning some decluttering this weekend? What all is going on um, for you this weekend? Let me double check, make sure Brenda can get in here. Okay. Amy, good morning. Good morning. Do you have any? Ooh, I see Brenda. Hold on. Hold on. Brenda, good morning. Look at you. You look beautiful.
Oh, from the top up.
I think they call that the work mullet, right? Like it's the top you look great, the bottom it's leggings.
You name it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. From working from home. You bet.
That's right. That's right. And hey, why not be comfortable? I'm all for that.
Yes, yes. I've already been on a meeting this morning, so I had to, but it was a conference call, so I didn't have to show my face.
So,
And
Brenda,
I'm
you are
good. Yeah, better do that.
you're our second guest on this new revitalized podcast. Do you want to share a little bit about yourself? Where do you live? How did you come to be a member of our groups? What groups are you involved in? That sort of stuff.
I am actually a beauty consultant with Mary Kay. So I work around my family's schedule. So I'm going on 10 years with that. And
Wow, that's incredible.
I love it because I like being very social. So
Yep,
as
me
you can
too.
tell. And I live in the St. Louis area, Missouri area. And we moved here about 11 years ago. So,
Nice.
and we were in mid Missouri and the capital, Jefferson City, Missouri. So,
Are you originally from Missouri?
uh, actually, no, uh, Illinois,
Oh, okay. So you just went a
around the
little
Quad
south.
Cities, around the Quad Cities. So, but most of my life I've been in Missouri. Yeah.
I took my kids on a 2-month long road trip around the United States a couple of years ago, and we had a stop in St. Louis, Missouri, and it was one of our favorite cities. We absolutely loved it. We had a great time there.
There's a lot to do here.
Yeah, you have that incredible children's museum. I think it's called the City
It's
Museum.
yes.
Yeah, it's the top rated children's museum in the country, and
Oh,
it's well worth visiting.
yes. And that's it. Kind of looks like the Magic School Bus. It's
Yes.
there on in the air, which I think that's kind of ironic. But
Yeah. Well, we found St. Louis to be very welcoming, very clean, very friendly. It was a great city. The girls actually have asked to go back there multiple times since the trip, and we haven't gone back there, but we probably should.
well, look me up.
I will.
That'd be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
So, Brenda, how long have you been involved in our programs?
I think I've been having so much fun, I don't remember. I was really trying to remember that the other day, and I think it was probably in the fall.
All right.
Maybe late summer, early fall or something like that when I first started. So I had often thought I need to ask you when I started because I'm like, I can't remember. But, I think that these classes have really helped motivate me. And I think it's more the camaraderie of the group. You get to know certain people and you kind of look forward to being in the community room with them.
Yeah. Imagine that. Looking forward to decluttering.
Yeah. And there's times I don't want to do it, but I know that I need to do it. And so that's really helped me. And, I think when you started like back in the pandemic, I actually did see that you had started this group, but I actually did another group and started. So, unfortunately, I am not with that other group, but I mean, I think I've gotten more out of your group than I have the other one because everything was fast. Everything had to be done, in a certain length of time, and I don't motivate that way.
It's really hard. Decluttering schedules are very difficult to adhere to
Yeah.
because everyone processes their clutter at a different speed.
Right.
Everyone has different clutter in different places. And that's kind of been one of my big criticisms of a lot of the, the decluttering methods that are out there that people tend to see first, like the bigger ones, like the Marie Kondo method or, whatever, is that it has to work for you. And if it doesn't, if somebody tells you you have to start here and go this fast, like that makes absolutely no sense to me. Like you need to start at the right spot for you and go at a pace that's sustainable, because if it's not sustainable, it's never going to work.
Right.
So yeah, that's been one of my big criticisms of other decluttering methods, really.
Mm-hmm. I will say though, whenever I did start, I started with my closet because my closet was such a mess. Oh my! But I got a lot out then. But I will say with the marathon, I did the boot camp, the marathon,
Mhm.
and it was our closets. I could not believe that I got like 8 to 10 bags just side. This is not even including my husband's side.
Yep.
And I was like, how in the world did I get that much out of there? I couldn't believe I got that much. That's what I'm saying. I think with, like the other group, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, we don't want to put down any other. I mean, there's things that work for everyone.
Right.
Period.
But I think in this group we're processing. It's your mindset. And I think that's what I was missing. We were talking about that mindset, but it was so fast. I don't think I actually connected with it.
Mhm.
You have to process things, like you talk about strengthening your decluttering muscle.
Yep.
I had time to strengthen it then.
Right.
It
Right.
just did, but I didn't even process what was going out. And in this group, I did. I had that 4-hour marathon, and it really made me think, why am I having all of this stuff? Why am I keeping it? I would just go buy another thing. And then when I was done with it, I would put it up there, like purses, for instance. I never use them again.
Yeah. So Brenda, one of my big questions for guests on this show is, how do you define clutter?
Anything I'm not using.
Yeah, that's a good one. Anything you're not using, that is clutter because it has no purpose in your life.
And I think actually by remodeling, like 3 weeks ago, it'll be 3 weeks anyway, I'm not putting back the stuff that I had back in those rooms. And I'm like, I was on the meeting with Marie the other night, and I'm like, I'm just so done with it. I'm like, why am I keeping it? And I'll go over there, and I made a list of things that I needed to do because my ADHD just doesn't work that way. I can't just take some things and think about it. I have to make a plan. And so that's what I did. And I'm working through that list. So it may take me a little bit longer, but I'm, you know, just
Having a
slow
plan
and
is so
steady.
helpful.
Yeah. So slow and steady wins the race, I guess.
Yes, 100% slow and steady totally wins the race. I also I want to go back to what you said. Like, I'm just so done with this. Like, there is actually, you get to that point there, it's worth keeping on with this process, even when it feels difficult,
Mm-hmm.
because you get to the point where you're just so tired of doing it that it actually makes it much easier to let go of things. You're just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this any longer. This is ridiculous. You do get to that point eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're if you're stuck right now, like, keep pushing yourself, because when you get to that point, things just like easily leave your house. Has that been your experience, Brenda?
Yes. Yes. And also, like in the community room, and then I'm making the goal to actually try to be there every day. If I don't have an appointment or something like that, and I'm like, I'm going to make myself be there. And I think it helps when, you're like, okay, I don't know what to do with this. And then you get feedback from, the other people that are in the community room, and it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, just for anyone who's listening, Brenda is a member of Clutter Boss Basics. So we have three main programs: Prioritize Your Sanity, Clutter Boss Basics, and Clutter Boss Academy. And in Clutter Boss Basics and Clutter Boss Academy, CBA and CBB, we have a Zoom room that's available for members all the time. So a little history there, Brenda. When we started the Zoom room in CBA, it took like months to get people to use it. Now it's used all the time. And we worried when we started Clutter Boss Basics that we would have the same problem. But
Mm-hmm.
we were so thrilled when people in Clutter Boss Basics just started using that room all the time, because it's so effective to have other people help you process. And just, even if you're in there alone, the idea that somebody might pop on kind of gives you that like accountability to be doing what you said you were going to be doing.
Right. Because actually, I'll put in the chat too in the community room that I'm going in there. If anybody want to join me, and I think other people have done the same thing.
Yeah.
So, then it's not so. I don't know. Threatening is the word, but you don't feel near as alone, I guess.
Yeah. Clutter can be really lonely. And that's something that I think having that community can really help with.
Exactly. And, just actually, going through this process, I was starting to put, okay, for instance, it was my two ficus trees. Don't put them back. Don't put them back. I'm like, she had never said a word about those before. But I'm like, I kind of wanted to kind of fill in a little bit, make it a little, cozier. And she's like, no, don't clutter it up. Don't clutter. I'm like, okay. Well, now she's noticing how much, more streamlined everything is. And she's liking that.
That's awesome. Yeah, it really does. It's very impactful for so many other people when you go through this process. It helps you, and then it helps your family and friends, and it's that nice like domino effect.
Yeah.
So, Brenda, another question for you. What has been the most unexpected part of this journey for you personally?
Okay. For instance, the other day, we were going through our DVDs and our CDs, and I'm like, when's the last time we actually even opened the drawers to this? And I'm like, a lot of them were my husband's. And so I was like, okay, when's the last time we've actually watched these or listened to these? And I says, most of these are yours, because he had a lot before we even got married, which we've been married over 30 years. Like, so that tells you how long that we've had them. But, and I says, I don't feel like it's my decision to make those decisions, I said, I think those are yours. Of course, he actually kind of grumbled and that kind of stuff, because it wasn't something comfortable for him. And I think that's the thing about decluttering. It's not comfortable.
Yes.
The decision to do it, and he did it. I was shocked. I was so shocked. And, another thing, and we've talked about this before about our kitchen table, it's a dumping ground. And I'm like, okay, things have got to stay off of here. So I actually put a basket on the table, and I was like, that's where the stuff is going to go. When it's too full, we got to go through it.
It's
So
such a good strategy.
I even set the table, like nobody could put anything there. That didn't work. I tried, they just moved the stuff aside. So, but you know what? I'm further along in my decluttering than they are.
Right.
And so it does make a difference. You have to take care of your stuff first, not theirs. And so, and it was interesting. My husband's like, well, then you do something with this. And no, it's your stuff. I can't do something with your stuff. I have done stuff, and then he doesn't know where it is. And, okay, that's not a good plan either.
Right. It's hard for I think sometimes it's hard for us to relinquish that control and let other people make their own decisions. But it's really, I love that you have embraced that, because it is really important that people go through this on do their own stuff, right? It's like you have to work through this in your head so that you get the mindset and the understanding, even if it's going to take somebody in your family, much longer than it's taking you. Like you said, you're at different points. You're much further along. You're teaching the rest of your family now.
Right. And I think the one thing that's probably helped me more than anything, because I didn't know how to organize and put stuff together. And what I did like with like. That was the opening for me. Oh my gosh. And it was the same way with putting away our Christmas stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm not bringing up my tubs. I am going to sort through, and I'm going to put things that I'm going to get rid of in one place and the other stuff in another. And then I brought a tub up. Oh my gosh, what a eye opener, because then I didn't have all the tubs, which with ADHD, you can't focus. You cannot process with too much stuff. So, and that's why this group has really helped me a lot, is just doing that one step.
Yeah. Like with like. That's all that organization is. It's not some thing you need a big system for. It's not some big secret. It's just like with like. That's it. I mean, it's so simple, but we're not taught that ever. So
No.
We have a question in the comments here, and I'm just going to go back and address it real quickly. If you think you're on the wrong podcast, this is our weekly podcast. This is not a summit interview. So the weekly podcast is happening every week, Fridays at 11 Eastern. If you want the summit interview, that's go into springintoactionsummit.com. You will find that there. You can always rewatch this podcast. So all you need to do is hit play when it's over, and it'll start playing again. So just a little, if you missed that in the beginning. Brenda, what advice do you have for somebody who's starting out on this process?
I think the stepping stone to actually decluttering, and it's scary when you first start. I think the prioritize your sanity is a safe group, because it's once a week, and it's not like in your, you're not like bombarded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, doing one thing and giving yourself credit, don't beat yourself up also that you didn't get such and such done. Put it on the list for the next day, or the next day that you're going to be doing something. So I a lot because it doesn't do any good to beat yourself up.
No.
That's a self-defeating prophecy. by
Yep.
doing.
Yeah, right. There's no progress made when you're just hammering on yourself for not doing something.
Right.
It's totally okay. It's just I I like the term failure is feedback, right? So if you fail to do something that you thought you were going to do, it's just feedback. Like it wasn't something wasn't right. So we just need to figure out what wasn't right to fix that in the future. And that's it. It's just feedback. Nothing else.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, audience, do you have any questions for Brenda? There's a little bit of a delay here, so sometimes it takes a second for the questions to pop up. Brenda, I just also really want to say thank you to you because you help our community by being present and active. And really, it's such a huge gift that you give to other people, just your participation. So I really, really appreciate that. And I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you for that.
I mean, I always like to give positive feedback to people. I mean, what good does negative feedback do? It doesn't do anything, That's
Nope.
build each other up.
Yeah, I love the fact that inside of our communities, we have safe spaces where we can just build each other up. And I hate the fact that that is such a rare thing in today's world. I wish that that were how it was everywhere because that's how it should be. We're all doing the best that we can. Nobody has walked in your shoes. And the reason that you have clutter is unique to you. And probably there's a long story that's not so happy behind it. So let's just reach out with loving kindness. I guess here's another good question for you. If you wanted the general public to know one thing about clutter, what would it be?
There's usually a story behind the clutter. I've watched a lot of, shows and that kind of stuff, even like hoarders.
Yeah.
And there's something that has happened, like a trauma or something significant that's happened to that person that maybe they never had this issue, but something like that happens. And it's something that's a comfort to them, having things around them versus not having, the clutter. So I think there is actually a book out, are trauma and clutter related? And I believe there is.
Yes, me too.
I mean,
Very much related.
I read it, but I agree that there is. Yeah.
Yep, there's always a story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, we have a question here.
Okay.
I'm going to let you take a stab at it first, okay?
Okay.
I am 70 years old and I have thousands of papers I've saved. I could scan them, but would I even go look at them? What can I ask myself to convince me that they should go away?
When's the last time you looked at them?
When is the last time you looked at them? That is a great question. When is the last time you looked at them?
And what worth does the paper have to you?
What worth does the paper have to you?
Mm-hmm. I will say that that's a good example of when my husband and I were moving. And I had to go through all of his stuff because he was traveling, so we had to get the house ready to sell. I went through some of because he did a lot of scouting, and he had papers in there from I hate to tell you how many years, and there were just a few things on the papers, and I'm like, why are you? I think he just didn't know what to do with it. And I think papers just kind of got into boxes.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot. Oh my gosh, it was a lot. So, I mean, we could have had a bonfire with as much paper as we had. So, and we had so much that before we moved, I actually had a friend of mine that helped me go through stuff. And then we actually hired an organizer. Oh, that's expensive.
Yes, it is.
And so, because we needed to move faster.
Yeah, yeah.
Process that I actually got to, and you get to the point where you're just so done. And I was like, okay, set the box in front of me. If I hesitate, when I'm going through stuff, set it aside, bring it back. If I still can't make a decision, it's gone. And that's how I made the decision to get through stuff. And I think you do get to that point.
Absolutely.
You don't know where to put it. So if that means that you have excess.
So this, and I'm sorry, it just says Facebook user. I'm not sure what your name is, who's asking the questions. They're mostly sentimental. So I still think it's a good question. Are you ever going to look at them again? Like if you have them in paper form and you're not looking at them, are you going to look at them if they are digitized? If they're sentimental for like family purposes, then I would also ask the other family members, like, should I keep these? Do you want these? Do you want these digitized? And if so, can you help me with this process? Scanning things takes a really long time. Yeah, those are sentimental is hard.
And we're kind of like that with pictures. Like my husband's parents passed away. It's been probably 10 years now. And so we inherited this huge tub of nothing but pictures. I don't know these people. I don't know any of them in there. And so my sister-in-law kind of went through some of them, but she didn't go through all of them. But I mean, she picked out what she wanted. Okay, my husband is wanting to retire. And I said, well, that's going to be your retirement. But doesn't have the patience to do it. And it's like, well, I don't know if we need to do maybe a deadline that he needs to go through them. Because I think it's just kind of sitting there and it's not doing us any purpose.
Right.
But there's like distant cousins and, probably from their generation that probably would like to have some of those. They would know who those people are.
Yep. One of my pieces of advice for pictures and memorabilia is to make memories with memories. So like have a family reunion if possible. And the purpose of the family reunion is to go through the pictures together. So you have everyone there and everyone can take what they want, or you can digitize what you want to do. But that is like, cause you hang on to things because somebody else might want it who you don't see frequently, who you don't talk to. And I think Brenda, you said this earlier too. You have papers because you don't know what to do with them. So like get answers. That's a lot of memorabilia and papers. It's just get some answers and find out, do I need to keep this? How long do I need to keep it for? Does anybody want this picture? Like, if so, how can I get it to them? Like it's just answers that you need to sit down and just get. Yeah.
I look back at my parents and how they kept, oh my gosh, everything, with, I grew up on a farm. So my dad had, farm stuff that he had to have. And so I actually shredded, I don't know how many boxes of checks, canceled checks from 60 some odd years. That took a long time.
It takes a long time.
And I did all that before I found you. But I was
burned through some shredders that way.
Well, I found some things though that, because we were actually looking for my mother's will, and we had a copy. We didn't have the original. So then we had to go to probate court. So those things are very important. Things like that should probably be put in a safe place, like a lockbox or something like that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
all of your important papers, wills, birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, passports, social security cards, put them someplace safe all together, just one spot, and be rigid with yourself about putting them back when you take them out, right back into the same spot, always.
Right.
Beyond that, the rest of the paper is probably less significant.
And, like we were talking the other day about health records and that kind of stuff. A lot of that stuff now you can get at the doctor. You can get it on your portals. I have that, and except one I can't get on the portal, but that's I don't know. Sometimes they make it so hard to get into.
I know that's a whole other, that's digital clutter now, right? Like trying to figure out your password situation, and oh, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna have to go is the digital. Oh, yeah. I that's probably after I get this thing done, then I'm at the digital stuff because I kind of let it go for a little while. Not a good.
Well, Brenda, next month is Digital Declutter Month. So inside of those three groups, Prioritize Your Sanity, Clutter Boss Basics, and Clutter Boss Academy, we will be coaching on digital declutter. It's such a big topic, but there's a lot of simple things that we can do to make it a little bit easier anyway.
Yeah, well, I need to go and make folders and stuff like that. I have never done that, and I need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of digital clutter, but at least it's not piling up around us. So that's the positive there.
Oh, yeah. But then we tend to forget about it.
Yes. Until we need it, and then it's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Brenda, so we're at the half an hour mark. So I like to only keep my guests for a half an hour because I know you're volunteering your time to be on this show. So, any last words for anyone who's listening?
I think I remember, and I wonder where she's at in her journey, that she would actually be on these calls, and she just couldn't start. And I have actually prayed for her because I know how hard it is to start. And I think I said this the other day on one of the calls. I had a stack of magazines, and they were all real simple magazines. And I'm like, oh man, I don't want to throw those away. I had not even looked at one of them. And so we were talking about, paper clutter and, magazines, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I am so tired of those falling off of the stool there. I'm going to just take them and throw them away. Oh my gosh, what a relief. It just felt like, okay, now I could start, That was my very first experience with this group is starting. You just got to start somewhere.
Just start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Start somewhere. Simple. One thing.
Mm-hmm.
One single thing.
And I think, and I've kept it up, is the loaded the dishwasher and a load of laundry.
Yep.
Oh my, laundry used to be, oh gosh, I hate to tell you how bad it was. It was Mount Washmore that was washed but not put away. So, I mean, we have a couch upstairs in the loft area and everything just got dumped there. But now we actually sort it out and get it folded and everybody puts theirs away.
It's awesome. I love that. One load of dishes, one load of laundry every single day. It goes a long way.
It does.
Mount Foldmore, somebody says.
And Mount Foldmore, yeah. Now I was going to say, no, my daughter's not on board as much, but she has so many clothes that my son's actually moved out, and so she's taken some of her clothes and putting in his. No, we got to do something about this because that's going to be the second phase of carpet, and we're going to have to declutter the upstairs.
I mean, that's the positive of renovating a little bit, right? Doing these projects is you have to declutter. And in the end, you have a beautiful space, but it is definitely a process to go through.
It's like moving.
Yep, it is like moving.
And I said I would never let my house get like this again. I did. So never say never. You just need to keep up with it. And I think that this group really has helped me stay with that. It's accountability to yourself. It's not really being accountable to anybody else. You just need to be accountable to yourself.
Absolutely.
And, maybe you didn't do anything one day, say, I'm going to do something more than I did yesterday.
Yep, exactly.
Don't beat yourself up. Gets you anywhere.
One thing, just start.
Just start.
All right, take those wise words from Brenda and go do something right now. One thing, just start. This is your little prompt for today. Brenda, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. This was a wonderful conversation. I loved it.
Yeah, I did too.
If you in the audience want to be on the podcast, this podcast is open for everyone, even people who haven't started. Let us talk you through it, getting started. Just reach out to me or support@prioritizeyoursanity.com if you want to join us. I really very much, the vision for the podcast is everyday people and real struggles. We're not sugarcoating anything. Brenda, have a great weekend. Everybody who's watching, have a great weekend. And we will be here next week, same day, same time, for our next episode of Let's Talk Clutter.
Okay.
Bye, Brenda.
Have a great weekend yourself.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.